Yo, what's up, my fellow virgins? It's your boy Awen Lexi, so I can never take a loss. Today, we're going to react to this dark change of Conor McGregor by Mark fighting. I don't know what they mean by the change by McGregor. I just feel like he's living his fucking life. But let's see what they got to say about my man's, bro. Y'all know me. Wait a minute. That was my fault.
The last time we saw Conor McGregor step in the octagon was back on July 10th, 2021.
Damn.
The same night he suffered a severe leg injury that has kept him out of competition ever since. In the meantime, a lot has happened with Conor, from which very few things could be seen as positive. In recent years, there have been significant transformations in both his appearance and behavior. Perhaps the most noticeable change has been in his facial features, with his face appearing fuller and more swollen, which started to become more obvious after he shaved his beard. Besides the physical changes, many couldn't help but notice the difference in his speech and mannerisms.
Onwards we go, it's another one. I've 4 of them now. 4 of them. We had an hour series, it was on RTE, it's the national broadcast series.
For someone known as being a charismatic and eloquent speaker, the change was rather concerning. After rumors of his comeback started to circulate, it appeared like he was regaining his focus and prioritizing getting back in fight shape. However, during a recent media tour to promote his new movie
Did y'all see that shit? Who the fuck?
Getting back in fight shape. However, during a recent media tour to promote his new movie Roadhouse, things seemed to be turning for the worse as fans began noticing further troubling changes. So what has been causing these radical shifts with McGregor? And can we expect to see him back in the octagon anytime soon? Conor is known for his wild lifestyle, often indulging in blowing off steam a bit too much. He's never shied away from his love for drinking, even crediting fighting for keeping him away from pubs and unhealthy habits. It's safe to say Conor knows a thing or two about alcohol, as his first large business ventures outside of fighting were into the liquor industry, launching his brands Proper 12 whiskey and Forged Irish Stout beer. He famously sold his shares of Proper 12 and cashed in on a whooping $150 million, making him the highest paid athlete of the year. However, his drinking habits have sometimes interfered with his career. Notably, he has admitted that drinking too close to his fight with Khabib contributed to his loss. Since his boxing match with Floyd Mayweather, McGregor has been relatively inactive in the octagon, fighting only 4 times in the past 8 years. Various factors have contributed to this, including the COVID-19 pandemic, non-title fights on pay-per-view cards, conflicts with UFC president Dana White, and most recently, a leg injury that has sidelined him for nearly 3 years. His periods of inactivity seem to take a toll on him, with noticeable changes in his physical appearance and behavior when he's not preparing for a fight. This could also explain his desire to still compete, despite all the financial success he has achieved throughout the years.
For me as a person, I like to be kept busy. It keeps me in check. It keeps me honest. It keeps me in line. If I was not busy with everything at my disposal, that could potentially be dangerous, you know? That could be catastrophic. I could run into a wall.
However, despite being sidelined for years, he has been hinting at a comeback fight against Michael Chandler for quite some time. But before we get into that, I'd like to take a moment to talk about our sponsor for today's video,
Listen, bro. We came here from McGregor, bro.
After nearly 2 years on the sidelines, the UFC began teasing McGregor's comeback against Michael Chandler, and even hosted them both on the Ultimate Fighter season. Throughout the season, McGregor seemed to be in good shape, training alongside the contestants and displaying flashes of his old self by taunting Chandler and being ultra competitive. McGregor's team lost the first round of fights 7-1, which meant someone from Chandler's team had to switch sides to keep Conor coaching. Luckily, Brad Katona, who trains at SBG with McGregor and John Kavanagh, joined his team and went on to win the bantamweight competition. Following the end of a show, the coaches agreed to fight later in the year, with the date and weight remaining undisclosed. After being promised a fight against McGregor, Chandler decided to wait for his return rather than risk missing out on the opportunity by taking another bout. His last fight was against Dustin Poirier at UFC 281 in November 2022, and for someone who's been fighting every 6 months since joining the organization, it's fairly obvious that he is willing to wait as long as it takes to have a red panty night. Despite agreeing to fight, one thing was still needed in order to complete his comeback, which was a clean drug test. After quietly exiting anti-doping agency testing pool in 2022, McGregor simultaneously started gaining tens of pounds of lean muscle, which alarmed many in the MMA space and fitness industry.
This photo is almost suspiciously photoshopped, seemingly. Like, that's how cranked this guy looks right now, relative to what I believe he's naturally capable of. So either he is almost certainly taking something right now, while, again, he's not being tested by USADA, so there is absolutely the most incentive ever for him when he is, creeping into his mid-30s, has to make a dramatic comeback. This is his last shot to do it, essentially, coming off of a brutal injury where you would probably be taking certain things in order to expedite your recovery and make sure you come back with enhanced infrastructure to support avoiding injury in the future.
Given his history in professional sports for over a decade, a sudden muscle gain suggested something else was at play.
He is a transformed human, seemingly unrecognizable. Like, what the fuck am I even looking at? This is like, he literally looks like Dorian Yates reincarnate, bro, from like years ago.
Speculations arose that he might have been using human growth hormone to speed up the recovery and ensure proper healing, potentially explaining the changes in his facial structure, as similar situations involved various celebrities who were speculated to have taken the same drug to achieve an unrealistic physique for a movie role. While McGregor has never openly admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs, he has also never denied it. However, to return to the octagon without exemptions, he was required to enter the testing pool for a minimum of 6 months. Despite hopes of a McGregor fight card before the end of 2023, he didn't re-enter the testing pool until October 8th, suggesting his earliest return would be for UFC 300 in April 2024, and just before the end of a year.
And that was fucking cat, bro.
Eve.
Ladies and gentlemen, a happy new year to you all. I'd like to announce the return date for myself, the notorious Conor McGregor, for the greatest comeback of all time. Will take place in Las Vegas for International Fight Week on June the 29th. Come a little closer. And the opponent, Michael Chandler. And the weight, Mr. Chandler, 185 pounds.
Even though he had announced his next fight, there was no official confirmation from the UFC, so he largely stayed out of the spotlight until a recent promotional tour for his movie Roadhouse, where many noted concerning changes about him. The movie tour lasted a total of 9 days, with all actors, including Conor, required to attend every promotional event. While Conor is used to promotional work before fights, movie tours can be a lot more draining, and for someone who isn't used to them, it can be quite overwhelming. However, Conor has a tendency to celebrate on almost every occasion, which can often lead to negative outcomes.
These tours are difficult, and you know what? I'm the type of person that celebrates at the starting line. I get excited. So we finished the first night, the first day of New York, and then we still had 4 more days of New York, and then we start to go to Texas and do 4 days. But we're only at the finish in 1 day, and I get excited, and then I start, celebrating, and then, then it's tough to go out the next day, and it just makes it harder for yourself.
Despite appearing normal in the initial interviews, his condition began to deteriorate as the days went by.
That was great. The people of the Dominican Republic were very hospitable to us, and we had a great time. Really, it was a really, really fun time on set, and difficult and a lot of time spent, but what a time.
Tell me, what does it mean to you to be part of this film? Why the collar?
You like the color?
Yeah.
I'm just pulling it back out.
Okay.
Got the things nice. And you work on a building site or your regular job, but you get a nixer. You get, your uncle's friend needs a fucking, a radiator fitted in his house. So you'll do a side job.
The clip that got people worried the most occurred during an interview with Sports Illustrated, where he was seen twitching, shrugging his shoulders uncontrollably, and barely being able to string the sentences together.
He was good to me, and I sometimes had to remind him.
I landed one punch
Once.
and he hit me with a door. Other than that, it was absolutely perfect.
That's true.
An amazing stunt team, Gareth Warden and Steve Brown, and they were phenomenal with us. They gave us free rein, and we've done a good job. For me, what was hard was it was time consuming. 18 hours on set, very little rest. It was strange to me, but the fight scenes, I was happy to give my input and my oar, And Jake, as I said, is a consummate professional. We've done a good job.
Many speculated that he was experiencing the side effects of a rough calm down from a night of drugs and alcohol. Despite showing clear signs of substance and
He was around them actors, man. The Illuminati. He got uncomfortable.
alcohol intake, he has been confirming his comeback in early summer this year against Michael Chandler.
Yeah, we got confirmation a few days ago that it's all systems go, and the Notorious will be returning in the UFC Octagon this summer. Now look, you see this? It's Chandler. I got to shut up, Michael, you imbecile. The blade doesn't shut up. But see him on Raw and all. I like Mike. I'm gonna bust him up. I'm gonna bust Mike up, yeah.
While he has been assuring fans of his imminent return, seeing him in his current condition certainly doesn't instill much confidence.
Spinning back kicks to the ribs. There's a couple of head kicks, couple of side kicks to the head as well. A couple of side kicks to the head. From I won't. There's a lot of there's action on the ox and on. So I was on C as well.
His situation has sparked concerns within the MMA community, raising questions about his well-being and the possibility of turning things around in
Hey, I'm reacting to one of these videos too.
such a short period.
How do we then know he can just flick that switch for his fight camp and all of a sudden
This shoot Georgie, bro.
and a 3-year layoff? This
I don't think I want to hear him talk.
could be a fucking disaster.
However, McGregor has partially blamed his lack of commitment on the UFC, as they keep postponing his comeback date.
I had a camp in Cannes, the south of France. I had a camp in Dubai at World Champions training with me, where I was hoping for a December date, then a January date, and then it keeps getting pushed back. Then I lose interest and stop training for a while. Not stop training, I always train, but stop full training and drinking a little bit. Hold on. So I'm going to go back now, regroup, get full tested, and get ready to rock.
A former opponent of Conor's, Nate Diaz, came out in support of his rival, as he is fairly familiar with negotiation tactics and contract restraints of the UFC.
Your old rival, your old friend Nate Diaz going to bat for you publicly. Did you see that tweet about you?
Yeah,
Connor. How about that? What did you think when you saw that?
Yeah, Nate is great. Oh yeah, man. You know when you share, back-to-back knocks we had, real fights. That's a real fighting man. The two brothers are real fighting men, and I always had the height of respect for the two lads. And I was a fan of the lad. You know what I mean? I was a fan of them. And then I got to share the octagon with him. We had wars and we boxed each other around. I appreciate it. Wish him well. Always. I'll always wish to see past opponents and potential future opponents again. To see them do well.
Even though Conor has very few reasons to return to the octagon, a new wave of talented fighters is trying to achieve similar success to his, amongst whom is the bantamweight champion Sean O'Malley, who recently defended his belt for the first time. Despite anticipating that his career would soar to new heights after becoming a champion, O'Malley hasn't experienced much increase in his star power, so check out my deep dive on why O'Malley's promotional power has slowed down.
You know what, buddy? I don't think I'm gonna do that, but I appreciate the video. But I don't think McGregor changed, bro. I don't think he's taking steroids. I don't think he's doing anything like that. And if he is, bro, holy shit. But who knows, bro? Who knows, bro? We live in a matrix. Anything's possible at this point. I hope everybody have a great motherfucking day.